Hey everyone. Welcome back to Naruto Audio Fanfics 2.0. Today's fanfic is What If Anko Adopted Naruto, and Gave Him the Love Konoha Never Could. Part 1. A story full of action, emotions, secrets, and unexpected twists that will change Naruto's destiny forever. If you enjoy Naruto fanfics, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now sit back, relax, and let's begin the story. Moment when she heard those words come out of her mouth. I promise, nothing will happen. The man replied. Anko slowly handed him the boy and the two took off towards Hokage Tower. In his office, the third Hokage sat taking a break from the overflowing paperwork on his desk. He took one long puff on his pipe before trying to get back to work. He sighed. This was a lot harder now than it was a long time ago. He picked up his pen to do some signing, when he heard a knock on his door. May I help you? He called out. Two visitors for you, Hokage-sama. The woman behind the door called out. I see. The third replied. Please send them in. The woman nodded and through the doors entered Anko, along with the man that had saved her. The man holding the child still holding his teddy bear. Kakashi, Anko, Naruto. The Hokage asked. Is that the kid's name? Anko asked. She put her hand on his head and noticed that he was running a small fever. The Sandaime simply nodded, and turned to Kakashi. Said Junin stood at attention as he knew a report was expected. What happened? He asked. We found him being attacked by a group of villagers again. Kakashi explained. Anko arrived to aid in his protection first, and when several other Junin, including myself, arrived, we were able to drive the rest of them off. He slowly walked over to a couch nearby and placed Naruto on it to rest. Anko looked with concern about what in the world could have driven the villagers to attack a poor child like that. Anko looked back at the Hokage and walked towards him. Who is he? She asked. The name you called him, Naruto, sounds familiar. It should. The Hokage replied. Kakashi looked at him with concern, but the old man's nod was enough to tell the Junin that it was okay to tell Anko. His full name is Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki? Anko asked. Her eyes suddenly flashed when she remembered. He's the kid with the fox demon sealed in him, ain't he? Correct. Kakashi replied. As a result, many of the people see him as the demon itself, instead of a carrier for it. They only see the demon, not the boy. Just like me, Anko said to herself. What was that, Anko? The Sandaime asked. It's nothing, she replied. So what will happen now? A nurse is on the way to remove the kunai and treat some of his wounds, the old man replied. After which, he will remain here for the night and then in the morning I will place him in the orphanage again until he is about 7. Again? Anko asked. You mean this isn't the first time he's been there? I'm afraid not. The third said. He retook his seat behind the desk and took a puff of his pipe. He has been kicked out of the orphanage several times. I managed to pay a fee to get him back in, and then the cycle will repeat itself. So why do you keep sending him back even though they'll just toss him back out? Anko asked. There is nothing else that can be done. Kakashi says. We try our best to keep watch of him, but with most of the Junin running missions, and the Hokage working to restore order to the town after the demons attack and such, it is not easy to always be there for him. Anko looked at the boy with her eyes beginning to water. He was being forced to suffer because of the village's issues of not being able to look deep into who Naruto really is. It was just like her on so many levels. She returned to the Leaf Village, to redeem herself, to work to be forgiven, but even after 3 years and becoming one of the youngest Junin ever, she was still looked at as the scum of the village, much like Naruto. The nurse walked in and there was silence for the next 30 minutes. After she had done the treatment, she bowed and left the three and Naruto to themselves again. It's getting late. The Hokage said. You should both retire for the evening. Thank you for protecting Naruto for me, Anko. Wait, Anko suddenly shouted. Kakashi and the Hokage both looked at her with widened eyes. I want to watch him. I want to adopt Naruto. She was stunned. Did those words really come out of her mouth? You? Kakashi asked in surprise. Are you sure about that? It seems rather rushed that you just jumped to that conclusion. I'm sure. Anko replied. I want to do this. I want to protect Naruto from what I go through, and what path in life I took because of the pain of being alone. The Hokage scratched his beard and nodded. Take the boy home tonight. Kakashi shall escort you both there. Spend time with him tonight and tomorrow, and then be back here around 4 p.m. to make your final decision. Anko nodded and walked to Naruto. She carefully held him in her arms, and in an act that surprised them all, Anko included, kissed him on the forehead, telling him that he would not have to be alone ever again. Kakashi excused themselves, escorted the two to the place she called home. Anko's eyes snapped open as she felt a sudden jerk. She looked up and saw a groggy, tired, and confused Naruto looking around his current location. He then looked down and saw Anko. Both of their eyes truly meeting for the first time. Of course you ain't in trouble, squirt. Anko shouted. Naruto's smile returned. Hey, Kurenai. Yes, what is it, Anko? The Junin asked. I was wondering if you could keep an eye on my squirt here while I talk to the old man, she asked. You can. Awesome, she shouted before Kurenai could even answer. Anko bent over and kissed Naruto on the cheek. You wait right there with Auntie Kurenai, and I'll be right back, okay? Naruto nodded and turned back to Kurenai as Anko walked into the Hokage's office. The old man was working on the paperwork sitting on his desk. He looked up when he saw Anko come in and smiled. Anko, I trust everything has gone well? He asked. Yes, Hokage-sama, Anko replied. Naruto has enjoyed himself, and I did as well. Have you made a decision? He asked. Yes, sir, Anko replied. I wish to make the adoption of Naruto Uzumaki official. Alright, you may go, he said. What? Anko replied. He's your child now. The third replied. Take him home, and treat him well. I leave Mitarashi Naruto in your care from now on. Anko smiled and thanked the Hokage. The two walked out of the office and saw Naruto sitting Kurenai's lap, telling her about Anko's and his day. Naruto saw Anko walk out the door and hopped of Kurenai. Anko-chan, he shouted as he hugged her. Naruto-kun, Anko asked. Yes, he asked back. The Hokage would like to ask you something, she replied. The old man walked over to Naruto and patted him on the head. He smiled as Naruto looked up at him with those deep blue eyes. They were no longer filled with only hate, fear, and sadness, but rather a small sign of happiness was in them. He noticed that Anko had the same line too. Do you like being with Anko? The old man asked. Naruto nodded happily. Do you want to visit her more often? He asked. Naruto nodded again. Anko, do you like being with Naruto? She nodded. Would you like to visit him more often? She nodded again. Well then, Naruto, why don't you just live with her? He asked with a smile. What do you mean? He asked. Naruto, I adopted you today, Anko replied. She took the boy in her arms and smiled. Adopted? He asked. It means that I'm your new mommy. She answered back. I have a mommy now? He asked, his eyes growing wider. Yes, Anko replied. Naruto looked at her for only one moment. He then latched his arms around her and cried happily. Anko did as well. She hugged her son tightly, never wanting to let go. The Hokage smiled, and left the two alone. Kurenai did the same as well. With her son in her arms, Anko returned home. Naruto smiled as he had never been happier before. Replied. You remember that story we read last night? The ninja went to school to learn how to be one. That's cool, Naruto answered. Anko thought deep and hard about her conversation with Kakashi she had earlier. She was scared to ask him. What if this just ended up hurting him in the end? Then again, was it worth the risk to lose him about something like this? Anko took a deep breath and began. Naruto-kun, she began. How would you like to go to the academy too? To learn about becoming a ninja? Naruto asked. Just like the one in the story. A small excitement in his voice was building. Would I get to be with Hinata-chan and Ten-chan? Well, Ten-chan would be a year ahead of you, but there's a good chance that Hinata will be with you. Anko explained. I wanna do it. I wanna be a ninja. He shouted. I'm gonna be the greatest ninja ever, and everyone will want to be my friend because of it. Anko smiled at his enthusiasm. He reminded her of herself when she was little. Anko smiled and hugged him tightly as he leapt into her arms. Alright, we'll begin your training in the morning. Anko replied. We're behind your friends so we have a lot to catch up on. Anko and Naruto climbed into bed and turned out the lights. Anko fell asleep almost instantly, but Naruto lay there, staring at the ceiling. The thoughts of him being a ninja raced through his mind. He pictured himself in place of the ninja in the story they read the other night. He was saving the village, being cheered, and befriended by everyone in the village. Naruto let out a low yawn, and allowed sleep to take over for the night. Like she ordered, Anko shouted each number as he kicked. Then he began the punching drills. Anko sitting in front of him, eating a cup of ramen, just to make him mad. The real point was to use the anger to increase the power he was using, thus making the blows stronger. Immediately after that, he moved right on to the final part of the taijutsu exercises. Anko tossed a kunai at him with a sadistic grin every time he started to slow down. Naruto sighed as he fell to the ground after the drills. Sweat was literally pouring off his body. Here, Anko said. She handed him a bottle of water. Naruto took several sips and smiled. Let me see your knuckles, maggot. Anko ordered. Naruto handed her his hands. Anko quickly, yet carefully inspected them. No bleeding. Anko commented. Alright, get up and do it again. Naruto was about to argue, but remembered her promise of no ramen forever, and using him for target practice. He rose to his feet and began to punch and kick once again. Anko smiled with pride as she watched him. She had to admit one thing, the kid had determination. Naruto eventually finished his taijutsu training. Anko wrapped his hands to slow the bleeding, knowing the fox would aid in healing. What's next, Anko-sensei? Naruto asked. Anko smiled and reached into a bag. A large pile of books appeared on the boy's lap, his eyes were as large as plates from the sheer number. Anko laughed at his expression. It was too easy not to. What are all these books? Naruto asked. Books that you'll need to learn so you can begin to grasp the beginning of the techniques you'll learn with me. Anko replied. These teach the basics of poison and snakes. Poisons? Snakes? Naruto asked with intense interest. Can I see? Fine, but I'm only gonna show these once, for now, Anko replied. Anko stood up and made several quick hand signs. They went by too fast for Naruto to tell what they were, but as soon as she finished, she shot her hands forward and two large snakes shot out of her jacket sleeves, one snake per sleeve. She smirked as she saw Naruto's amazed face. Like that? Anko asked. Naruto nodded. You'll love this. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a scroll. Biting her thumb, she quickly flicked the scroll open with the other hand, and ran her bleeding thumb across the scroll. Suddenly a large cloud of smoke puffed through the area, revealing a massive snake. Anko explained that she was just demonstrating something and the snake muttered while vanishing. Anko looked over and laughed as Naruto flipped open one of the books immediately. She knew that training him would be more fun than she thought. Slow down, kid, Anko said as she pulled him onto her lap. These books won't do you much good on your own, until you learn how to read. Anko began to read from one of the books while Naruto paid close attention. She finally called the training to a close for the day. They stopped off for some ramen, and then headed for home. After all his training, Naruto felt sore, and she could tell it. Anko laughed as he drug himself into the bed. Tired? Squirt? Anko asked. Yeah, Naruto replied. A low yawn escaped him. Then get some rest. Anko replied as she pulled the covers on him. Because we'll be doing this every day, for 1 year. Naruto watched as she walked across the room and pulled out some weights. Starting next week, I'm going to attach these to your arms and legs. They weigh about 10 pounds each. Anko explained. After the next 3 weeks, the weight of each one will double, and then after another 3 weeks, I'll add 10 more pounds to each one. When will we finish? Naruto asked. Next year. Anko replied. Now rest up, maggot. We're doing all this again tomorrow. Haruno Sakura, present, called a pink-haired girl, who was glaring at another girl with blonde hair. Yamanaka Ino, here, the blonde girl shouted, returning her glare back to Sakura. Uchiha Sasuke, the black-haired boy replied. Sakura and Ino both drooled over him. Nara Shikamaru, how troublesome, the lazy-eyed boy replied. Hyuga Hinata, here, Hinata replied. She was looking around, wondering where Naruto was. Aburame Shino, a boy with sunglasses simply raised his hand. Mitarashi Naruto, silence. No one was answering. Hinata was beginning to get nervous. Did Naruto change his mind? Did he decide not to join the academy after all? No, that wasn't Naruto's style. She was sure he would come. Naruto. Iruka called out again. Naruto Mitarashi, are you here? Again, no one answered. Mitarashi Naruto going once, twice, three. Iruka froze. He looked at the window just in time to see a giant black mass blast through the glass. The students all rose to their feet as somebody just broke through a window. Hinata immediately put her head on her desk. Please, not like this, she thought to herself. It was too good to be true though. The person stood up, resembling a boy with blonde hair, which hung in a ponytail. He wore a large, black trench coat, a fishnet shirt, black baggy pants, and a pair of black combat boots. Suddenly a large flyer flew out behind him. In huge red letters, it read, Mitarashi Naruto, future genin. Hey, not bad, huh Hinata? Naruto shouted. Every eye in the class turned and glanced at Hinata, who was sitting in the back. Her face was a blood red. She put her head even further down on the desk. She was cursing Naruto under breath. One day and she was already pegged out as the freak who jumped through a window to show off. Iruka walked up behind Naruto and smiled. Mitarashi Naruto? Iruka asked. Yup, that's me. Naruto shouted. Good, Iruka replied. He then smashed his fist into the back of Naruto's head. Get in a seat and sit down. Naruto laughed and shrugged his shoulders. He made his way to the back of the room with a grin. He made sure everyone would know who he was. He was so happy that he failed to notice everyone giving him glares. He was already the one in the mind of the students who decided to piss the teacher off in the first day. Hinata was praying that she wouldn't have to pay for her best friend's fun. Iruka sat mumbling under his breath as he pulled out another sheet, trying to find who was the parent or guardian of his new, favorite, student. He finally matched them up, and almost turned ghost white. Anko, he thought. I thought he looked familiar. This is going to be one interesting 7 years, especially with a kid being raised by that psycho. It's bad enough that I have the damn fox demon, but now he's being raised by that woman too. What did I do to deserve this? Alright, he said with a sigh. Let's get started. Meanwhile, Anko and Kurenai were sitting at a dango restaurant, enjoying a late breakfast. Anko was telling her exactly how she set up Naruto to greet his new class. The grin never left her face during the whole thing. You really had him do that? Kurenai asked. Of course. Anko replied. He wanted to make a big entrance, all I did was push him in the right direction. Iruka will kill you later, the Junin replied. Both girls looked right at each other and nearly fell in the floor laughing. Iruka was smart, but his skills were lacking, one reason that he never made it past the Chunin level. At any rate, there was nothing to do but kill time until the school day was over. They finished their meal and began to walk from the restaurant. I really wonder how Iruka will take Naruto as a student. Kurenai asked. Who knows? Anko said, throwing a dango stick into the trash. Why don't you ask Naruto when he graduates? Maybe he'll end up on your team. Don't even joke like that, Kurenai replied. That's all I need is a mini-you on my team. Very well, Hokage replied. Asuma, I will pick Nara Shikamaru as my first genin. Asuma answered. Kurenai, the Hokage called. I will pick Hyuga Hinata as my first choice. Kurenai replied. Very well, now who will be your second choice, Kakashi? The Hokage asked. Inuzuka Kiba. Kakashi replied. Akamaiki Choji. Asuma answered without being called. Mitarashi Naruto. Kurenai suddenly said. Aren't you supposed to save the bottom of the barrel for last? Asuma asked with a smile. Especially considering something he had no choice over, and was almost killed because of several times in his life. Kurenai replied. We all know that he is a child, not the demon. Just like his mother is nothing more than a person, not a monster. I'm tired of them both suffering for things that have happened, no matter how hard they try to overcome it. Very well. The Hokage replied smiling. Kakashi, I will take Yamanaka Ino as my final student, he answered. I will take Haruno Sakura, Asuma stated. Which leaves Kurenai to take Aburame Shino as her last student. The Hokage replied. Now, I will go over some minor things, just in case anyone has forgotten. In order for the genin to be officially taught by you, a test must be passed showing that the team you have chosen is capable of working together. If one of them should fail, the whole team must be returned to the academy, until a new genin is capable of taking the member's place. After you finish your test, and if they should pass, return the day after the test to begin running your D-rank missions. Now, you are all dismissed. However, Kurenai, please remain here for a moment. Kakashi and Asuma bowed and left the room. What is it, Hokage-sama? Kurenai asked. I'm sure you know, Naruto is the container for Demon Fox, the Hokage began. Kurenai nodded. Now, as you know, this information must remain a secret. It could be a disaster should his team find out at the start. While I doubt Hinata would care, we can't predict how Shino, much less the rest of the genin would react. I understand, Hokage-sama. Kurenai bowed. It shall remain a secret. Good, now go. The Hokage replied. You'll have your hands quite full with Naruto on your team, and we know how he is after spending over half of his life raised by Anko. Tell me, why did you pick Naruto? Let's just say, as a favor for a friend, Kurenai replied as she left. The next day, Naruto arrived to the class on time no less. He immediately received various surprised glares as he walked down the stairs and sat near Hinata. She noticed the smile that was spread on his face. Having a good morning? Hinata asked. Damn straight. Naruto replied. Mom taught me a new jutsu, I made genin, and I learned a clone jutsu that is far superior to the one you all know. I think you just got lucky Dobi, Sasuke replied. There's no way a loser like you could make genin. Without even wasting a minute. A kunai was suddenly sent flying by Sasuke's cheek. Naruto walked over to a wall, pulled out the kunai, licking the blood that was on it. Sasuke and the whole class looked at him like he was crazy. Tastes like fear and failure, Naruto replied. Naruto. Ino and Sakura shouted as they both ran towards him. Naruto simply slid out of the way and watched as the both ran into the wall. You should really watch where you two are going, Naruto replied. He returned to his seat, and talked to Hinata until Iruka came into the class. Everyone who was still standing returned to their seats. Ino and Sakura did their daily battle over who would sit by Sasuke until Shino walked in and took the seat. Alright, class, Iruka said. My final act as teacher is to assign you all to your new genin teams. Each of these 3 teams will consist of 3 of you, and be led by Junin. During this time, you are to obey their commands, as they are now your leader. In other words, please do your best. Now that you are genin, you officially represent Konoha. The 9 genin nodded and Iruka looked at the team sheets he was given. Team 10, led by Sarutobi Asuma, will consist of Haruno Sakura, Akamaiki Choji, and Nara Shikamaru. No sooner had the man finished speaking that Asuma entered the room. He instructed the genin to follow him to training field 9. Choji followed first, munching on some chips, Shikamaru mumbling something about troublesome girl, while Sakura cried about not being with Sasuke. Next we have Team 7. Iruka resumed. Your new leader will be Hatake Kakashi, and will consist of Yamanaka Ino, Uchiha Sasuke, and Inuzuka Kiba. Ino cheered as she would be paired with her precious Sasuke. Sasuke remained silent, and Kiba looked around. Something was missing. Kakashi wasn't there. Yo, where is Kakashi-sensei? He asked. Good question. Iruka replied. Take a seat by the front while you wait, and I assign the others. Now then, the next team is Team 8. It will consist of Hyuga Hinata, Aburame Shino, and Mitarashi Naruto. The 3 looked up as the said woman walked in the room. She looked at her 3 new students. Hinata bowed politely, Shino simply nodded, while Naruto had a huge grin on his face. Kurenai sighed. This would be a true test of patience with Anko's kid on her team. Alright, team, she told the 3 genin. Follow me to the roof, and we'll begin things there. Informed of Naruto Mitarashi being a teammate, or at least to his ears. Upon finishing his dinner and retiring to his room for the night, Shino's parents talked about the repercussions of Naruto being involved with their son could have on him as well as the family. They would ask the Hokage in the morning about keeping close watch on Naruto, to prevent the power inside of him from harming him. Shino didn't need to hear it, however. The mere mention of Naruto's name caused a slight detection of worry on his father's usually emotionless face. The gears in Shino's brain began to turn, making him wonder what it was that made the adults worry at the mention of Naruto. I trust all the tests went well. The Hokage asked the three Junin as they entered his office. More so than I originally planned. Asuma replied. I even hear old Kakashi finally passed a team. Only because they were the first to truly understand the point of the bell test. Kakashi added. He wasn't really paying attention that much. He appeared to be more interested in his new book. How about your squad, Kurenai? The Hokage asked. They all did quite well. In fact, their innate skills seemed to correspond well with each other, she replied. The combined force of Hinata's Byakugan, Shino's bugs, and Naruto's shadow clones and snakes are. Shadow clones and snakes, Asuma repeated. Shadow clones are a Junin level technique, and there are only 2 people I know who can use snake-style jutsus. He learned the shadow clone jutsu the night the scroll was stolen. Kakashi answered. As for the snakes, it is to be expected, seeing as how his mother is Anko, who also teaches him at night. So he's the one who stole the scroll? Asuma asked. I forgot you were on a mission when the event happened. Kakashi replied. Make no mistake. He was led to steal by Mizuki's orders, who was his sensei at the time. Kurenai replied. Do not think any less of the boy, as he was simply following orders at the time. Are you kidding? Asuma replied. The fact that a newbie genin is able to perform shadow clones is enough for me to respect him. That's good to know, Kurenai thought. I'm curious as to why she's teaching him his jutsus though. Kurenai thought. Kurenai-san, is something wrong? The third asked. No, anyways, I believe you have the first missions for us. Kurenai replied. Of course. The Hokage replied. These are the basic jobs for newly formed genin teams: home repair, shop aid, babysitting, things of that sort. All of you pick one and have the teams report to my office once they finish. All of them picked out one of the cards. Kakashi got one about running a flower shop for the day. Asuma picked out one about a trio needed to watch a set of triplets. Kurenai picked one out about a missing cat. She remembered how the team had to pass a test that involved finding her, and now their first mission would be finding a cat. She could see Naruto drawing out his kunai to slice anything that crossed him. She sighed at the thought as she went home, to rest up for a full day with her new team. As the bug ninja returned to the others. That was sad. Naruto told the remaining ninja. Your friend just got lucky. The enemy ninja said. Besides, we took down that woman in one move. Hey, you're an idiot, you know that. Naruto replied. She's up in that tree. Naruto pointed to a tree behind him, and sure enough, Kurenai came hopping off a branch. So that makes the score 1-0. The ninja wasted no time in charging Naruto. The boy smiled and pulled out a kunai. Kurenai's eyes widened. She knew that smile. Anko used it every time she fought an enemy ninja. They never survived. Naruto ran forward and leapt over the ninja as he swung at him. With rapid speed, Naruto threw the kunai into his back. He landed behind the stunned ninja. He was surprised that a squirt like Naruto was able to move with such speed. Naruto smiled even more sadistically. Anko's influence on him was beginning to show even more now. The poor ninja never had a chance. Naruto called forth a shadow clone. With only a nod, they both rushed forward, and began to slice away at the ninja. Shino's eyebrows arched. Kurenai gasped and covered her mouth. Tazuna pulled his hat down. Hinata closed her eyes. Naruto smiled as the ninja was ripped into pieces. The shadow clone vanished and Naruto put his kunai away. After securing the remaining, living ninja, Kurenai thought it was time to bring up her concern to the bridge builder. Tazuna-san. She began. What is the truth about this mission? There should have not been any confrontation. You haven't been telling us the truth about this whole mission, have you? Tazuna remained silent. Fine then, I see this mission as being too difficult for my team to finish, and we shall return to the village. Fine, Tazuna replied. The truth is, that this is not a basic escort mission. My life is in danger. Do you know who Gato is? Gato. Shino spoke up. All turned and faced the usually quiet ninja. You mean Gato of Gato Shipping and Transport? What would a businessman of one of the most successful companies in the world have to do with this? Kurenai asked. The businessman Gato is simply a mask. Tazuna responded. There's much more to the surface than that. The real Gato is a murdering, ruthless criminal. He hires shinobi and gangs to do his dirty work, and also specializes in drugs and contraband. He takes over company after company, until he gains control of an entire country. He came to the land of waves a little over a year ago on a business venture. However, no sooner had he arrived, that a wave of violence broke out. He managed to take control of our shipping company, which is the largest and most valuable company to the village. We've been under his thumb ever since. I understand that you all must be suffering. Kurenai added. However, I still fail to see where you fall into place in this. As you all know, I am a bridge builder. Tazuna answered. Well, there is only one thing that Gato fears, which is the completion of the bridge I've been building for some time now. It connects the land of waves to the mainland south, so the bridge would become a major aid for the village. Hinata said. Yes. Tazuna said. The bridge would be a major aid in encouraging trade and such with other villages. New businesses could come, allowing the economy to repair, and drastically weakening Gato's power. Does that mean that the two losers me and Bug Boy beat up are part of his hired thugs? Naruto asked. Most likely. Kurenai added. They were most likely expecting Tazuna-san to come alone. Though you and Shino managed to fend them off easily, they had to be at least of the Chunin level. If what he says is true, there'll probably be many more of them to come, probably stronger than those two were. She turned and looked at her team, and then back at Tazuna. You'll have to forgive me, but the mission has seemed to become a great deal more dangerous. I cannot make a decision that will willingly put my team in danger. I have to take their feelings into consideration. With that, she looked back at Naruto and the rest. I want to know what you all think. If you find that the mission may prove to be too difficult, then we'll return back to the village and find a more suitable escort for him. If you think that you are willingly to continue though, and put it all on the line to complete the mission, then we shall continue onward. I'll do it, Naruto said without any hesitation at all. You could at least think that through first, Naruto. Kurenai replied. It's one thing to want to fight and show your toughness, but in the process of making this decision, you not only put your own life on the table, but Hinata's, Shino's, Tazuna's, and mine. It has nothing to do with proving strength. Naruto answered. I have a promise to keep. I don't turn down people who need help, I don't turn my back. If someone would have done the same thing 8 years ago, I wouldn't be here right now. She taught me better than that, and I am not going to betray what she taught me. Even if it means going alone, I will finish this mission, and protect Tazuna. Kurenai smiled. She knew exactly what he was talking about. If Anko had turned her back on him that night, Naruto would have been killed by the villagers. She understood why he was so determined to continue on, regardless of the danger. She turned back and looked at Shino and Hinata. Shino simply nodded and moved toward Naruto. He was on his side. That left Hinata. She sat there for only a moment before nodding. I think we should keep going, Hinata shyly said. Fine, Kurenai replied. However, we should keep a close watch on Tazuna-san. The team nodded and began to move forward once more. Naruto lagged behind a little bit, to wait for Hinata to catch up. She looked at him for a moment, before gazing back to the ground. Naruto looked at her curiously. Hey, what's up? He said. I let you and Shino down. She replied. If they were stronger, they could have ended up hurting you both, or worse, I'm so worthless. Hey, shut up, Naruto told her. You are not anywhere close to being worthless. You froze up, big deal. It's gonna take a hell of a lot more to kill me and Buggy off anyways. You're strong, Hinata, stop berating yourself. Besides, if you get in trouble I'll come help ya. I'd put my life on the line for my little sister. Little sister? Hinata questioned, making a pout face. Why do you get to be the older one? I'm 2 months older, that's why. Naruto said with a grin. Hinata giggled at this, as it reminded her of the first time Naruto called her that when they were maybe 6 at the most. The two ran to catch up to the others. Hinata was glad that Naruto was on her team. The two had become so close they were like brother and sister, and to be honest, Hinata felt closer to Naruto than she did the rest of her actual family. She promised herself that she would be stronger from now on. She would not be a burden to the mission. There was a long silence as the group made their way to the land of waves. It was almost nightfall, so the team decided to set up camp and continue on later in the morning. Time. From the water rose a dragon made of water who charged right for Kurenai. At the same time, a blast of fire escaped from Kurenai's mouth. The fire and water clashed, which resulted in both canceling each other out. Zabuza's eyes widened as through the mist flew several shuriken, each one smashing right into Zabuza. The demon of the mist flew back and landed against the tree, breathing heavily. Watch out! Hinata shouted with her Byakugan activated once again. Everyone looked up in the trees that she did just in time to see a masked boy unleash a handful of Senbon needles that pierced Zabuza in the neck. The swordsman's body fell limp and hit the ground with a solid-sounding thud. Dead, Kurenai said to no one directly as she walked forward and put her fingertips against his neck. She looked up at the masked boy in the tree as he jumped down and walked towards Zabuza. Thank you for your assistance, the boy said. We've been after him for quite a while. That mask, Kurenai said. You're a shinobi hunter from Kurigakure, correct? Yes. He replied. Shinobi hunter? Naruto asked. What's that? A ninja who specializes in hunting down rouge ninja and outlaws. Shino replied. Strange, Kurenai thought. Judging from his height and voice, he's not any older than Naruto or the others. He's already a full-fledged shinobi hunter though. Wait a minute, Naruto shouted. Who the hell are you? Calm down, Naruto. Shino said. He's not an enemy. I didn't say he was. Naruto replied. But look at this. He killed Zabuza with one flick of a wrist, while we were sweating over it and struggling to stay ahead. To make it worse, he's only about our age. Do we suck or something? Calm down, Naruto, Kurenai said as she walked over to the blonde. I can understand how this would make you mad, but I have to admit that this won't be the first time you see a person who might be younger than you, with skills that are on a Jonin level. At any rate, I'm afraid I must be on my way, the boy said as he put Zabuza's body over his shoulder. I must dispose of the body, so if you'll excuse me, the boy disappeared in a cloud of smoke, leaving Squad 8 and Tazuna alone. Well, that must have been humiliating, he shouted as he adjusted the brim of his hat. Regardless of who finished who off, I owe you all my life, so I'd be honored if you stayed at my house to lick your wounds. Thank you, Tazuna-san, Kurenai said. That'd be nice. Kurenai began to walk past her genin as the bridge builder followed. Well then, shall we be on our way? The team immediately began to follow, Shino being his usual quiet self while Naruto was muttering under his breath about the shinobi hunter. Hinata lingered for a moment before she jogged to catch up to the others, deactivating her Byakugan in the process. Zabuza, she thought. I don't think he was dead. I'll ask Kurenai-sensei about it alone later tonight, so I don't start up a fuss until we're sure. Neither are you, Kurenai pointed out. True, Zabuza said as he prepared himself to run forward. But I'm older. Much older. Haku's got a life ahead of himself, so I figure it's my job to be the sacrifice. No, there's got to be. Haku began only to be knocked out from behind. Lady, Zabuza said, take care of him. I won't be coming back from this alive. He said not another word. He simply charging forth straight towards Gato. The businessman turned and ran to the back of his army, but that didn't stop Zabuza. He began to hack through the men. His attacks didn't go unnoticed though. In fact, he took several deadly blows to his already wounded and exhausted body. Kurenai realized that it was pure hate for Gato that was keeping him alive now. Eventually, Gato ran out of places to run, and found himself trapped against a wall. Zabuza smiled as he swung his sword one final time. Gato's body was sliced in half, and he fell to the ground dead. Zabuza dropped his sword to the ground afterwards, he closed his eyes, and died right afterwards. Zabuza-sama, Haku whispered. He fell to his knees as he looked at his dead master's body. That freak killed Gato, one of the men in Gato's army said. They killed our paycheck. Another said. What are we gonna do now? Another asked. What else? We kill these guys, and then go loot the town for anything we can find. The last one said. I think not, Shino said as he walked forward. What are you going to do, kid? One of them asked as they laughed at Shino. The boy did nothing, but simply extended his arms forward once again. A mass of bugs began to fly out of his sleeves, crawl out of the collar of his coat, anywhere. The sight of so many bugs coming at them at once began to drive them into a panic, especially when they began to drain the life force of the people they attached themselves to. The army began to charge for Shino, only to be surrounded by a massive red snake. Naruto smiled as the snake dove for them, causing them to literally piss their pants, and run, never to be seen again. It's over, Naruto said with a sigh of relief. That was when he caught eye of Hinata. His eyes widened as he noticed a slight breathing motion. She's alive, he whispered as he ran to her. Hinata-chan, you're alive. He hugged her tightly, causing her to moan a little in pain. Naruto-kun, too tight, she managed to whisper out. Hinata-chan. He cried as he sat her down carefully. I'm sorry. It's fine, she said with a faint smile. So you didn't kill her after all, Kurenai said to Haku. I couldn't, he replied. Naruto reminded me so much of myself, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Haku, about Zabuza, Kurenai began. I will take care of him, he replied as he walked towards the corpse. His arms began to glow with a green chakra, and suddenly he was able to move his arms once more. He gently lifted his corpse up and sighed. Haku, Shino said, where will you go now? I need to think for a bit. He replied quietly. You could come back to Konoha with us, Naruto replied. Your skills would be awesome to have there. Maybe, Haku said, but not yet. There are things I need to think about. But, Naruto began, only to have his mouth covered by Kurenai. Go on, Haku, Kurenai said. Take all the time you need, and when you are ready, know that Konoha will be there to welcome you. Haku nodded and disappeared into the fading mist. Naruto watched as he left before looking up at his sensei confused. Kurenai put a hand on his shoulder and smiled at him. His life has taken a huge turn, Naruto. It is not our place to choose what he should do for him. Haku needs time to grieve, and to think things through. When, and if he's ready, we may see him again one day. But not before or after. The team stayed in mist long enough to fully recover, and for the bridge to be completed. The team had completed their first high-ranked mission, and had definitely become stronger during it. She smiled to herself as she thought about an upcoming event in Konoha soon, her team just may be ready for it. Today, Shino said. I see, his father, Shibi Aburame replied. I've been thinking this over carefully for the afternoon, and I think I'm going to sign up. Shino responded. He replied. I wanted to ask if you believe my skills are up to the challenge. Shino said. Shino, you are one of the finest shinobi to come from our clan for some time. Shibi said. I have no doubt in my mind that you can handle the exam with flying colors. You've proven to be an asset to the clan, and a valuable comrade to your teammates. However, this doesn't mean that you will let us down if you do not become a Chunin. As long as you do the best you can, you will be making us proud. Sooner than they had expected, the next day came. Naruto, Hinata, and Shino found themselves at the Ninja Academy around 4 in the afternoon, like they were supposed to be. All three looked a little apprehensive, and yet they were all glad to see that they all decided to take the exams. They all three looked at each other, before heading inside and to the floor where the exams would take place. They reached a floor that had an interesting sight. There were several groups of genin standing outside of a door. The said door was being blocked by 2 shinobi, who were refusing to let anyone else in. 2 of the people that caught Naruto's eyes the most were Lee and Tenten. Lee was on the floor, rubbing a bruise on the side of his face, while Tenten was by his side, checking to see if he was alright. You weaklings really want to take the Chunin exams? One of the shinobi in front of the door that said room 301 on it. You've got to be kidding me. Please, let us through. Tenten said. We have to take the exam. One of the men blocking the door reached out and punched her across the face hard. The girl began to fall to the floor, only to be caught by Naruto, who had a kunai pressed right against the face of the man that hit her. He stared him straight in the eyes with pure killer intent. Apologize, or I will kill you. Naruto said. Like to see you try, the man said. Naruto jumped back and gently put Tenten on the ground. He then charged forward with a kick, as did the shinobi who hit her. Suddenly, Lee showed up in between both of them, managing to catch both of their kicks easily. The most noticeable thing about Lee was that all the bruises he had earlier were gone. Hey, all healed up, Lee? Naruto asked. You know me well, Naruto-kun, the boy replied. Regardless of who did what, a voice said. Everyone turned to see Sasuke smirking with his team of Kiba and Ino right behind him. I suggest you drop the genjutsu on the door and let us through. You are the rookie of the year. Shino suddenly asked him. Shino, Sasuke said looking at him. If you were, you would have known that this was obviously a ploy to weed out the weaker candidates for the exam. Of course, because you had to open your mouth about the door and such, now there will be even more competition for us to go through during the exams. Shino put his hands in his pockets and began to leave with Hinata and Naruto, who bid farewell to Lee and Tenten after checking if they were okay. Shino smiled as he looked back. To think that they called Naruto a doby. They didn't stick around long enough to hear Ino whine about the disrespect just showed to the great Sasuke, or Kiba laughing his off at the Uchiha being told off by the quietest kid in their class. Squad 7 walked by the others and into the doors. Lee smiled as he said he was going to make a bathroom run, and went up the stairs too. Tenten looked back over at her third teammate, who had been quiet this whole time. He wore dark brown shorts, a cream-colored shirt, and had long brown hair he pulled back into a low ponytail. The most noticeable thing on him were his pale, pupil-less eyes. Neji, are you alright? Tenten asked. Fine. The Hyuga replied. Just fine. He walked past the other two and began to head up to the third floor. Tenten soon followed. So, Hinata-chan is taking the exams, this should be fun indeed. Eventually, Naruto, Hinata, and Shino reached the doors to the real room 301. Their eyes widened as they saw Kurenai leaning against the wall waiting on them to show up. A smile graced her lips as she saw all three members of the squad approach her. She stood up straight and walked the rest of the way to them. Good to see that you all made it, she said. Now you all qualify for the Chunin exams. What do you mean? Naruto asked. All three of us are required for the exams, aren't we? Shino asked. Correct, Shino, Kurenai said. The test is set up to be taken in three-person teams. The reason why I essentially lied to you, and told you that the choice was up to you take the exam, was because I didn't want you to feel pressured by your teammates to take the test. No offense meant, but if Naruto would have told you to take the test, even if you didn't want to, chances are you would have done so anyway. What would have happened if one or two of us didn't show? Naruto asked with a smirk. I'd have turned you away. Kurenai replied. None of you would have been allowed past this point without the others. But, you're all here, and of your own will. I'm proud of you all. Go in there, and show them why Squad 8 is the best one in Konoha. The three genin looked at each other and nodded. A smile was obvious on all their faces, even Shino. Naruto walked forward and opened the doors. Shino, Hinata, Naruto said. Let's go kick some. Of course. Kiba shouted. Any idiot could tell, right Akamaru? The dog barked happily in response. That idiot had no idea, Sasuke thought. Of course, anyone who cheated in an obvious way, failed, Ibiki said. He paused as he untied his headband, bandana combo. The genin in the room gasped in horror as they noticed the scars, bruises, and wounds that were all over the top of his head. There are times when being sloppy and getting caught in an act of espionage can cost you dearly, sometimes in ways that cost more than life itself. He tied the bandana back on, and smiled. He paused as he looked over to the window and smiled. That time already, huh? That time? Ino asked. A large black shadow began to make its way to the window. Suddenly, Naruto got a shaky feeling in the pit of his stomach. He laid his head on the desk and prayed to Kami that he was wrong, that it was just a dream. Funny how things go when you hope for those kinds of things, huh? The glass shattered to pieces as a woman jumped through the window. A banner launched from behind her, which had her name and shinobi rank painted on it. Team Guy, and the Rookie 9 all read the banner, and then glanced back to the blonde with his face on the desk moaning. Alright pukes, listen up. The woman announced. It's time for the second test of the Chunin exams. I am the chief proctor, Anko Mitarashi. Why me? Naruto cried to himself. From being slightly afraid. It wasn't the fact that any of the other teams scared them, but rather, the thought of being stuck with Gaara in the forest for 5 days did. He always made his daily threats to kill them, and now that no one was there to make sure he didn't, how would they be so sure that they'd survive this time? Man, 5 days in the middle of some damn forest with Gaara, Kankuro thought. I have this feeling that says this will be the time I die. I hope Gaara doesn't flip out or lose control or something like that, Tamari thought. I also hope I get the chance to run into that cute blonde boy from the other day in this place. Gaara too was lost in thought as he waited for the gates to open. His cold, deathly stare floated from several of the gates, until he caught a glimpse of Naruto. Almost immediately, he could feel a sense of bloodlust rising as the blonde chatted amongst his teammates. A small, almost sinister-looking smile crept across Gaara's lips as he felt the anticipation rising. Naruto Mitarashi, he thought. Shukaku says you are someone to watch out for, that a familiar presence is inside of you. Could you possibly be like me? No sooner had those thoughts left Gaara's head, did the gates to the forest suddenly fly open. Immediately, all the various genin squads took to the forest, bouncing along the various trees and branches that lined the area. Anko smiled as she watched Naruto and the others take off. She wanted Naruto to be safe, but she knew she didn't have much to worry about with him. Still, she had a feeling that this would be an interesting test to monitor this year. Alive, and that was a plus. However, he was alone. Kiba, Ino, and even Akamaru were nowhere to be seen, and that actually caused him to feel a little bit more nervous than he normally would. He looked around, determining that he had somehow managed to land under a bush, and slowly crawled out, kunai in hand. Sasuke-kun, a familiar voice shouted. The boy turned around to see Ino coming towards him. Quickly, the boy jumped back, and drew a kunai. He couldn't be too careful, and therefore he had to be on guard. He didn't need to go through a battle similar to what he went through earlier. Stop, Ino, Sasuke said, causing the blonde to freeze in her tracks. Stay back. Don't come any closer until you give me the password. Password? Ino asked. Right, the Nikki. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait, until the enemy lowers the gate. Good, Sasuke sighed as he lowered his kunai. That takes care of you, now we need to find Kiba and Akamaru. No sooner had Sasuke said those words did the said boy and dog come out of the nearby bushes. Kiba sighed happily as he spotted Sasuke and Ino. He began to run over to them, with Akamaru following close behind, barking happily. Good, you guys made it. Kiba shouted. Hold on, Kiba, what's the password? Sasuke asked. Hey, the Nikki right? No sweat, Kiba replied. We thrive in chaos of the enemy tide. Quiet shinobi don't need dens to hide. Our only concern is to watch and wait, until the enemy lowers the gate. Phew, Ino sighed. Looks like we're all back together again. Sasuke smirked though. As Kiba came closer, the Uchiha suddenly reached back and threw a kunai straight at the boy's head. Kiba managed to dodge the kunai, but he was pissed off, as imaginable. Also, Ino didn't look too pleased either. What the hell are you doing, Sasuke-kun? Ino shouted. Kiba got the password right. He was fast enough to dodge my kunai this time too, the Uchiha replied. What? Ino asked in confusion. This isn't Kiba, Sasuke answered for her. Don't you remember from earlier? Kiba didn't memorize the password. He said that there was no way he could memorize something like that, and then we got blown away. Not bad, Sasuke-kun, Kiba chuckled evilly. Not bad at all. A large cloud of smoke exploded from where Kiba and Akamaru were standing. Both Ino and Sasuke readied a kunai. Both on edge as they waited for the smoke to clear. As it did, a female Kusugakure ninja came into view. Well, that means that it's not that Kurigakure team, Sasuke said. Indeed, I am quite impressed that you figured it out so easily, the Kusugakure girl said. Please tell me, how did you know that I was a fake? As I said before, Kiba had said that he wouldn't be able to memorize something like that in such a short time. Also, I knew you were watching us earlier, the Uchiha said. Watching? Ino asked. Yeah, Sasuke replied. She was hiding underground the whole time. Quite impressive, This might be more fun than I thought. The Kusagaker ninja chuckled. Elsewhere in the forest, Kiba and Akamaru slowly came to. The boy sat upright, shaking his head as he tried to get his bearings straight. Akamaru slowly got up on all fours, stretching in the process. Hey, that was a little rough, huh? Kiba asked the dog as he rose to his feet. He took a look around, frowning in the process. Looks like Ino and the Tem are missing, we better go look for them. Akamaru barked in agreement. The puppy began to sniff the ground trying to pick up their scent, but suddenly screeched to a stop and began to growl. Kiba looked down, and took a quick sniff of the air. His eyes widened as he looked around, trying to pinpoint the smell. Snakes. I know I've smelled this in more than one place, Kiba muttered. Stay on guard, Akamaru. The air became tense as both the dog and Kiba were on guard. The sound of a faint slithering and hissing became present as they carefully stepped forward. Kiba pulled out a kunai, slowly looking around the forest with every step. Suddenly, the growling of Akamaru became barking. Kiba turned around just in time to see a giant snake lunge out of the trees, and straight for the duo. Kiba and Akamaru both managed to jump out of the way just in time. Kiba tossed his kunai at the snake, but as expected it didn't make much of a dent. Hey, didn't think that would work, Kiba muttered. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a small pill. Didn't think I'd have to rely on these so soon, good thing I brought more than one. He tossed the pill downward to Akamaru who caught it with ease. The puppy began to chew the pill, and then quickly swallowed it. His fangs began to grow longer, as well as his claws. His fur turned a reddish-brown color, and he began to growl more ferociously. Alright, Kiba chuckled as he began to run through several hand signs. Time for the Shikyaku no Jutsu. Kiba hunched down on all fours. His teeth became a little more sharper, resembling those of a dog's. His nails also became longer, resembling claws as well. Akamaru began to growl more as well. Kiba smiled as he nodded, and made another set of hand signs. As he did so, Akamaru jumped on his back. The dog vanished in a cloud of smoke, only to be replaced by a second Kiba. The Kiba on top hopped down to where both were side by side, and the original Kiba smirked. He's gonna lunge again, Kiba thought. Just gotta time it right. Sure enough, the snake curled back. It glared at both of the two dog ninjas, licking its tongue across its lips. Then, without warning, it lunged forward with its mouth open. Kiba and the morphed Akamaru stared intently as the snake's fangs came closer. They both leapt towards the snake's open mouth. Here goes nothing. Both of them shouted at once. They both leapt into the air, spinning at a rapid rate. Kiba knew that this was a one-shot only deal. If he and Akamaru missed, it was all over. He closed his eyes as they neared the snake. He felt the two of them connect to the reptile. He smiled and cheered as he felt them rip through the roof of the snake's mouth. Blood squirted into the air, covering nearby trees, bushes, rocks and such as the creature began die. It emitted a noisy screech as it died, while Kiba sighed as he fell onto his butt. Luck, the dog ninja sighed. No reason anyone else needs to know that though. He paused as he looked up in the trees and sniffed the air. I still smell snakes. I got a bad feeling about this, Akamaru. We better find Sasuke and Ino, and fast. This exam as fast as you can, Sasuke-kun, the snake Sanin said. I'll see you again if you manage to survive this exam, and those of the Otogakur shinobi who answer to me. What are you talking about? Ino shouted at Orochimaru. We don't want to ever see your face again. Maybe not, Orochimaru replied as he made a set of hand signs. However, simply wishing will not make me disappear. At that moment, Orochimaru's neck shot forward. It slithered around, resembling a snake as it aimed straight for Sasuke. It traveled at a speed that neither genin could track. Before he could move, Orochimaru had latched onto the back of Sasuke's neck, biting down with his fangs. He sat there for a moment, before slowly pulling away from the Uchiha's neck, and then the Sanin's own neck returned to its normal place. He smiled as the black marks appeared on the back of Sasuke's neck where the Sanin bit, and swirled around making an evil design. Sasuke began to shake slowly. He hunched over, holding his head in pain as he fell to his knees, screaming in pain. Damn it, it hurts, it hurts. Sasuke screamed. Ino tried to help Sasuke stable himself. Worry was evident in her eyes as she stared at the boy screaming in pain. The laughter of Orochimaru filled the air, causing her eyes to shoot back over to him. I look forward to seeing you again, Sasuke-kun, chuckled Orochimaru. In your quest for power. Ino frowned and rose to her feet, a kunai in hand as she shakily pointed it at the Sannin. What the hell did you do to Sasuke-kun? She screamed as she tossed the kunai at Orochimaru. Just a little something to remember me by, the man replied as he began to sink into the tree, easily dodging the kunai in the process. Ino was about to chase after the Sannin, but Sasuke's screams snapped her attention back over to him. She watched as Sasuke began to have a fit of pain. His body shook, as he screamed once more, trying his hardest to overcome the pain. Ino fell to her knees, trying to calm the boy. Sasuke, please answer me. She pleaded. The plea fell to deaf ears. Ino's eyes widened as one of Sasuke's hand rose into the air, as if reaching out for her. The Yamanaka quickly gave him a hand, grunting in pain as Sasuke tightly held onto hers. Ino watched with tears in her eyes as her idol, her crush cried in pain, trying anything to get it to stop. Ino looked up and around. Sasuke, please hold on, she begged. Kiba, get over here. Sasuke-kun is. She trailed off as her eyes met Kiba's limp form, still hanging from the tree by a kunai through his jacket. Ino's eyes followed the tree down, seeing Akamaru whimpering in pain at the base, as if every breath was a pain for him. Her eyes then went back to Sasuke, focusing on the black mark on his neck. Slowly, Sasuke's cries fell to a hush, as the boy began to fall unconscious. Ino quickly reached out and pulled the Uchiha in before he hit the branch of the tree, as if he was the final lifeline for her to hold to. Kiba, Sasuke, and Akamaru, all of them were down and out for the count. Ino realized that this time, she was alone, and the fate of the team was now in her hands. Mitarashi Anko cursed under breath as she leapt through the forest. It was already dusk, and there had still been no sign of her target. With every moment that slipped by, Naruto, all of the other Konoha genin, the other participants of the Chunin exams, and Konoha itself, slipped into danger. She wasn't sure what her target was doing here, but Anko knew that she had to take him down here and now. It was her goal, her mission, and her life's ambition. I have to find the Temen soon. Anko said aloud as she traveled. The darker it gets, the worse this whole mess will get. But why did you choose to show up now? What are you after? She chuckled and shook her head as she leapt tree to tree. The only sound she made with each leap being her own breath. It doesn't really matter, she went on. If it really is you, then we'll end this here and now. This has been coming for some time now, years even, and I will be the one to kill you, even if it kills me. She jumped to another branch, stopping to catch her breath. Anko rested a palm against the bark of the tree, and began to look around, slowly closing her eyes. After all, it's my duty, my life's mission. It's what I learned from my greatest sensei ever, what I learned from you, Anko finished. A smile graced her lips as she looked back at a face appearing in the tree. Isn't it, Orochimaru?